This is Callum Johnson, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Right, so on your screen right now is something that I don't usually talk about because I don't particularly believe in it. It's a fictional thing, pound for pound, that's just my opinion. But people like it, it's a good talking point. So we're going to go through it and we're going to concentrate on the top 15, but as you can see on your screen right there, but of course we'll give some honourable mentions outside the top 15 as well. Like number 16 is Daniel Jacobs. This could probably change depending on the result with Saul Canelo Alvarez. You got Oscar Valdez on there. You got Saul Rungvisai floating around in the top 20 as well. Josh Warrington is in the top 20 as well. Outside of that is Naoya Inoue. Again, a lot of people will have him in their top 10, but again, depends on how the Super Series is going to go. Bivol is floating around there. Chris Eubank Jr. is number 23. Yep. Jamal Charlo, 24, and Heyman Guia, 25. And again, I mean, if you went down outside of that, you got Gervonta Davis, Gary Russell Jr., Regis Prograis, Marcus Brown, Josh Taylor, is number 31. Wilder is number 32. Jarrett Hurd is all the way down number 34. Danny Garcia, 33. Billy Joe Saunders, 38. Maurice Hooker is round there. Jeff Horn makes it into the top 40. Carl Frampton just out of it. Lara is just out of it as well. Betty Biev is number 44, and Zolani Tete, 45 as well, which is ridiculous. Number 49, Tyson Fury. So, make of any of that as you will. As I said, so I'm using Boxrec, so go over there yourself, have like a little check of it, run down the list, and I'm sure people will wholeheartedly disagree with this top 15, or maybe you totally agree with it, because Boxrec do it on a points basis. So let's start off with it then. Okay, so let's go number 1, Canelo. 2, Terence Crawford. 3, Triple G. 4, Lama Chenko. 5, Alexander Usyk. 6, Joshua. 7, Spence Jr. 8, Callum Smith. 9, Miguel Berchelt. 10, Sean Porter. 11, Mike Garcia. 12, Manny Pacquiao. 13, Leo Santa Cruz. 14, Alexander Dvorak. And 15, Luis Nery. I don't have too much issue with probably a lot of them being a top 15, not necessarily in that order. But let's look at, say, the top 5. For me, I don't have too much issue with that top 5, to be honest. Not necessarily in that order, but those top 5 being a top 5, if that makes sense. I mean, you could jiggle them around. You could have Usyk number 1, Lama Chenko number 1, Triple G number 1, Crawford number 1. Doesn't really matter to me. Again, it is debatable because on record, Triple G in his last 3 fights, he's drawn 1, won 1, lost 1. That's the official record. Again, I know a lot of people say, but Triple G, in their opinion, beat Canelo not only in one of those fights, but potentially both of those fights. Again, I'm not going to disagree with you, and maybe Boxrec believe that too. Okay, but there again, if they did, would they really have Canelo number 1? Maybe Triple G's done enough in his career so far to warrant a number 3 placing. Maybe. A lot of people have Terence Crawford as number 1. Of course, he's got a fight coming up with Amir Khan. Alexander Usyk, we're still waiting for an opponent, but I believe he's going to be in Chicago or New York in June. That's pretty much what I'm hearing, or potentially around about end of May, maybe May 18, which might clash with Wilder and Brazil. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see officially for that one. But of course, Usyk, he is a undisputed cruiserweight world champion. He won the World Boxing Super Series by doing so, and of course he does have a win over Tony Bellew as well. So yeah, certainly a top 5, no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Lama Chenko again, he was out for a little while, but in the amount of fights that he's only had 13 fights. He did lose one very early on. Was he his second fight or third fight, something like that? But Lama Chenko is, for a lot of people, number 1. Again, can't disagree with you if you have number 1. For me, it makes no difference, really. But outside of that, this is where some of the head scratching comes in from my point of view. Number 6, Anthony Joshua. For me, as I said, I don't really do pound for pound, but if I did, I wouldn't have a heavyweight on the list. I mean, wasn't that the whole idea behind pound for pound, wasn't it? So I would never have a heavyweight on the list, but a lot of people do, and especially people who love Joshua, as myself do too. But in reality, pound for pound is created outside of the heavyweight. So in my opinion, I wouldn't put Joshua, Fury, Dillian White, Wilder, Ortiz, or anybody even associated on the pound for pound list. That's my honest opinion. That's just my mindset on it. So for me, I disagree. Joshua number 6. Errol Spence Jr., number 7. Now, again, you have to look at it and think, well, what is it that Errol Spence Jr. has done? The answer is absolutely little. I was about to say nothing, but he does have a win over Kell Brook. Again, he did get lucky in that fight in some ways. Again, you could argue, well, was it a lucky punch? Well, not really. Just that Kell Brook's eyes were very fragile, his eye sockets. He got his right eye socket busted against Triple G in the fight before, and then the left one went against Errol Spence Jr. in the fight after. And he still managed to go 6 rounds with Errol Spence Jr. with one eye. So that will probably tell its story in itself anyway. But ultimately, he did get the win. But outside of that, what's he really done? What, a Campo? I mean, I don't know, did that warrant a pound for pound? In my opinion, no. Even a win over Mikey Garcia, does it? No, it doesn't. Because Mikey Garcia, he started off his career as 126 pounds. And now he's going to move all the way up to 147. When predominantly, he's now a 130, 135 pound fighter. So, no, does he get any credit for it? To a point, sure, but a pound for pound rating over it, no. But speaking of Mike Garcia, to be ranked at number 11, and he's a 4-weight world champion, could be a 5-weight world champion if he manages to pull off a shock upset, and it would be a shock upset in my opinion, over Errol Spence Jr. But to have him ranked several places below Errol Spence Jr. at this stage is ridiculous in my honest opinion. Now, Callum Smith, number 8, can't argue with him being a top 10 at all. You could probably argue, well, who is it that he's beaten outside of George Groves? Again, it's a legitimate argument. But he did win the World Boxing Super Series. And when Andre Ward won the Super 6, which is pretty much the equivalent to the World Boxing Super Series, he was ranked in at number 1, number 2. So, you know, it was always him and Floyd Mayweather vying for the number 1. Sometimes Pacquiao was in there as well. So, for him to be ranked at number 8, I don't think too many people can complain about that. That's just my honest opinion. Miguel Berchelt as well, 35 wins and only 1 defeat. Again, can't complain too much with him being a top 10. And as much as I love Sean Porter is one of my favourite fighters, but is he a top 10 pound for pound? Hell no. That's my honest opinion. Listen, he's got a loss to Kell Brook and Keith Thurman. So who is it that he's legitimately beaten? Maybe outside of a Broner. Maybe Danny Garcia, I suppose. But and if he was to win this weekend over Ugas, again, would that warrant a top 10? No. In my opinion, he needs to be fighting one of the other champions, 147. Maybe rematching Keith Thurman. Maybe a win over Manny Pacquiao, or a win over Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. or potentially Mikey Garcia. That would probably warrant a top 10. But as of right now, top 10, in my opinion, no. And to have Mikey Garcia ranked below some of these people, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, is an absolute travesty. It really is. Manny Pacquiao, number 12. Based on his career, sure. But there again, mate, based on his career, you could probably argue by putting him number 1, right? But recently, listen, he did lose to Jeff Horn. I'll say officially he lost to Jeff Horn. Again, it's debatable whether or not he should have got the win or it was the right decision again. But either way, the record does show that he did lose to that one. He is the WBA regular welterweight world champion. Keith Thurman being the super. Okay, and him beating Adrian Broner last time out. Listen, we know Adrian Broner is shot to pieces. The guy's deluded. He thinks just by putting on a pair of boxing gloves and the bell rings for round number 1, he's got 5 rounds head start. That's kind of his mentality. Okay, it's weird. But Manny Pacquiao being number 12, again, I mean, could you say Sean Porter is above Manny Pacquiao? I don't know. Again, the whole pound for pound subjective, that word keeps getting thrown around, but the whole thing's just opinionated. Leo Santa Cruz, 13, yeah, sure, why not? Alexander Dvorak, I mean, his best win is arguably, and it is arguable, over Adonis Stevenson, an aged Adonis Stevenson, that's for sure. Pretty much inactive Adonis Stevenson for some part. Adonis Stevenson, he was put into a coma after getting brutally stopped by Dvorak, and good luck to him. He is out of the coma, of course, and he is mobile. I don't know whether or not he's back walking again. I'm not too sure, but good luck to Adonis Stevenson anyway. But Dvorak as a number 14, yeah. Why not? Lewis Neary, number 15. Again, a lot of people probably have him in the top 10. Some people have him even higher than, say, a 10th position. So for him being number 15, I can't argue too much. But for me, I think that there's a few opponents, there's a few fighters out there who could potentially be a bit higher than what they are and maybe eke into the top 15 and remove some of those in the top 15. Like a Sean Porter, in my opinion, remove him. Errol Spence Jr., remove him. Anthony Joshua, remove him. And replace him with a Suisuke Sorungvasai. Of course, he does have a rematch coming up with Estrada. Very exciting fight. Looking forward to that one. And Oscar Valdez maybe move up there. Naoya Inoue, he could be up there. So, again, the whole thing is subjective. But I'm just doing this just so you guys know what the official pound-for-pound ratings are. Again, so drop your thoughts below about it. Click thumbs up. And, of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.